my name is Jesus Ramirez, and I'm a staff member here at Park Center. I'm on site right now. So one of the things that really kind of resonated with me was from an elder from Danza Mexica Cuauhtemoc. That's the Aztec dancers. And this elder that came down was able to talk to us about how much ties we have to Minnesota, being Mexican, or being Mexica, or as what we refer to as Aztec. I always thought that we came from down south and kind of like whatever construct the CNN or the news would tell us about, that that's where I was from. But he was able to break that paradigm. He was able to explain to us that actually we speak Nahuatl or Nahuatl. And Nahuatl is a language, a Franco language, which basically has encompassed itself in all kinds of languages throughout the Americas. And so much to the point that Niagara for Niagara Falls actually means in Nahuatl the first place where people speak Nahuatl. And Nicaragua in Nahuatl means the last place where people speak Nahuatl. So at one particular time, we were part of the original 7 tribes that was over there by Niagara Falls. And then we ended up traveling down south. In fact, we followed the monarch butterfly all the way down south. And the way that he was continuing to explain this to me was, well, if you notice, we have ancestors that are still tied up here in Wisconsin. And I said, well, who? And he said, like, the Ho-Chunks. Ho-Chunk Nation, if you look at a lot of their designs and you compare it to the Aztec or the Mexica, they're almost exactly similar. In fact, the word Michigan, we're Mexica, or Aztec, right? Aztec, Mexica, Michigan, and then you follow the monarch butterfly, it passes through Michigan, Lake Michigan, and then some of them will eventually end up in Mexico, in Michoacan. Michigan and Michoacan mean land with big waters. So actually that's another sign of how we follow the monarch butterfly down south and how our language originated from this up north. So
one of the most impactful lessons that I remember as a student here at Osseo Senior High was in Mr. Kwan's chemistry class. And the most memorable thing for me was that he made science interesting and fun for students that may not love science. I always remember him getting really excited about labs we were doing, and he really tried to relate what we're doing in class to our personal lives. So that personal connection was huge for me because I sometimes struggled in science. So that was one of my most memorable activities in high school.
Hi everyone, my name is Eunice Doe. I work with Avid. I'm one of the tutors in the room. Today I'm going to be sharing my story about how one of the teachers here at Osseo impacted me when I was here. I graduated from Osseo in 2010, and my story actually has to do with Mr. Carls. When I was in my senior year of high school, it was a really rough time for me. I lost my grandma at that time. I also lost an aunt. And so it was a really hard time because I had to go through, being a student, working, and then taking care of my home life. One incident that I remember specifically, we were in class, and we were learning about poetry during that time. And it was something that I kind of struggled with because I'm a very literal person and I don't like to really know like what's the meaning behind anything. But he really sat down with me and he made me connect what we were reading towards my own life and my own journey. And it made things very easy. And he was always that kind of person where he opened up his own life to his students, and he made it in a way where we were able to connect with each other. He's one of my pillars that I always say. He's one of the reasons why I say that I am the person that I am today, just because he really took his time to get to know his students and like really made that connection with them, where it wasn't just like we're in school during that hour of the day, but he really wanted to know my life outside of school, and he cared. As a student, that meant a lot because like he actually showed me what it meant to be a teacher and to like display that Osseo excellence that we always talk about. So that's it.
High school, nothing really stood out to me except for one of my teachers. He was my history teacher, and And I guess it was one of his conversations that I had with him in class, and that really just kind of opened my eyes to things. And he could see that I was just kind of coasting by on some of them, and he just kind of pulled me to the side, told me a story that kind of resonated with me about how him and his days of playing sports and then having to go into the war where all of that was taken away from him. And so it just kind of opened my eyes to some things and kind of really got me to put the foot on the gas and go for what I know. Well, that was one of the real first teachers that I actually had a conversation with. It wasn't about just my schoolwork, it was about me and what my plan was and how I'm going to put that plan into motion and the things that I wanted to do. So that's really what it was. And you know, you wouldn't expect that from a teacher, you'd more expect that from like a counselor. But he actually took the time, and even after I graduated high school, I still kind of kept in contact with him for a little while because he helped push me forward on some life lessons as well too. So Mr. Murphy was his name. He was.
When you think back on your time in school, what was that lesson or unit or even that teacher that made that connection?
Definitely wasn't in high school. I mean, coasted through high school. So nobody really pushed me. And then even through college it was kind of the same thing until I was actually done playing football and I had to go back to finish up 5 classes. And I was in a analysis of argument class, and teacher just kind of noticed wasn't interested in school, and just teacher noticed me struggling because I wasn't producing anything, and just kind of talked to me about how to get in gear. And that was the first time probably a teacher's really showed like, man, I want you to do good in this class for yourself, not really for me. So I don't know, that was really the first time anything's really, teachers tried to connect with me on a different level of not just athletics and being in sports, but like pulling something out of me to put forth effort in school. It's really just about like the connection, and it sounds generic, but like that connection is serious. And I'm not talking about just on the surface, oh, good game yesterday type of connection. Like, you know, how's life? How was your weekend? And like really listen and be in tune with what they're talking about, so that they know you're serious. Because I think kids see through the BS, and they see through that superficial, like just, oh, hey, how's it going? And you keep walking because you really don't care of the response. But I think when you really connect and you get to know something about the students and kind of what drives them, what they're interested in, and you're able to maybe tailor. And I know it's hard with like science and history if all they're interested in is, you know, whatever fashion, but just even knowing that and having the conversation, I think they'll be more in tune with you.
They can tell when I care.
Right, and you'll know when they really care and are invested. So